Hello and welcome back to the Game Bet Match Podcast. I'm your host, Manny Friedman. Welcome my co-host.
Brad Sloan.
Back in the house, baby. Back in the house. I
Yeah.
see you got a nice Grand
Yeah, we
Slam
got some we got some
setup there.
we got some renovation here. We got a basketball hoop up. We got a the basketball isn't right with me anymore. I put it down to the side. I was shooting some hoops actually right before we just started in the 30 seconds as Manny was getting the call set up. Yeah, I got the picture of the four slams on the left there. So yeah, some new
And
fancy artwork for the pod.
I see that the slams are out of order, but it's okay.
No, they're not. They're clockwise. So you start at
Okay.
the top right and then go clockwise. So it's like a clock.
Okay. All right. Fair
It
enough.
looks weird from your perspective. Like when I look at it, it
Yeah.
makes more sense. You're looking at it flipped
Okay.
because
I
you're
got
looking to the camera.
All right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, nice artwork. Good week of betting.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Things are yeah. Good start to the year for both of us.
Yeah. Very good.
I'm
GBM
up. I
takes
actually did
points.
my cal. I did go back. I didn't fully update my spreadsheet, but I did go back and calculate like what I'm up on units. I'm up 9 units across like roughly 30 bets. So
Okay.
pretty good.
But you do just basically a one unit scale, right? Except for GBM plays.
For the most part, I mean, there's some stuff I scale up on, but
Okay.
not much.
Okay, because I do like a 1 to 4 unit scale.
Yeah,
Most of my bets are like 1.5, 1.75. And then
yeah,
like the ones I'm more confident in, I'll do like 2 to 3. And then like
yeah. So the only ones I scaled up on besides the GBMs were I had 3 units on the Marjan Rublev.
okay, because you did the set.
But I get, but I spaced out across different bets. I don't know if that counts or not because I played like a unit each on like set one
Yeah.
money line, and 2-0.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, it was a fantastic week. So let's just like get into kind of recapping the week. I thought a lot happened. There's a lot to talk about. So who do you want to start with?
So if you want to start with United Cup, I didn't watch much of it at all. I watched
Mhm.
very little, but I know you paid a little more attention to United Cup. For me, I hate the event so much, and like when there's actually ATP tournaments that I love so much more, I just like I can't. I don't know, but it's. I'm not saying it's not a good
I mean,
time. It's probably actually
I
a
think I
better
lost you there, but I think
sometimes
the
there's more like star players in that event. But
I mean I think the event is an absolute joke. Like I
can you hear
think
me now?
um
Yeah.
yeah, I think the event is a joke, but there's men's matches with good ATP players. So like those matches I'm gonna pay attention to. Like, and I know that the players like they care, like they're not
Oh,
gonna like,
I don't dispute that at all. Yeah, I think it's a
you
little
know.
different. I think anytime you have the team environment, it's a little different. But I would never argue in this event that the players don't care. Like I think they,
But I actually bet
yeah.
like I prefer betting in a team environment actually because you know that they're not gonna like tank a match or they're gonna like they're not gonna pull the plug if they're feeling a little ill. Like when was the last
Yeah.
time a team event that you've seen like a retirement? It's actually cool.
Davis Cup. Didn't McCatrick retire twice in Davis Cup?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. And like we'll talk about him because like he's a guy that kind of featured quite a lot at United Cup. I thought he played a fantastic match against Casper Ruud. I thought that was a very, very high quality match. Um, I don't know how much of it you saw, but like that was
I
like
didn't see any of it. So
excellent. I was
you'll have to
impressed with
read.
Ruud and I was extremely impressed with Machac. Like I thought the level was very high. And then like he followed it into a win versus Hubie in 3 sets, which was quite impressive. Hubie was still not himself. Like he played better later in the event. Um, but still a good win. And then Machac played Taylor Fritz, and then that was extremely close. Well, he played Kaboli first, and like he completely brushed him aside. It was 2-1. It was insane. So I thought it was an extremely high level. Like the way he was playing versus Rude, Kaboli, and Fritz was top 10 level. There's no doubt about it. Um, so if he can maintain that, I think he's on the right track. I think he needs to just be a little bit mentally stronger, and a little tougher. Like, I was very disappointed with the retirement against Fritz because he was outplaying Fritz in that match. I actually bet him at plus 195 because I thought he had the movement edge and he had the volleying edge and like the touch shots, all that kind of stuff is advantage Machac.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I
Fritz
actually
is a
think
little limited.
it's a good matchup for Machac because he can kind of expose those parts of the game. And he was outplaying him for most of for a lot of the first set and a lot of the second set. So, and then I think he just like started feeling it physically. And when he got broken, serving for the match, he just got extremely frustrated and completely lost it on his box. And he just came out, played 1 point, and just pulled the ripcord. Like, it was weird. It was very weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I think he was starting to cramp and like feel it physically, but like he made no effort to, like dig in or, go off the court or, anything. And like, if you're going to be a top 10 player, like you need to like suck it up and like get through that. Like, even if you don't win, you have to, because that builds respect in the locker room, You don't buy into that?
I don't know how much guys, I don't know how much it does or doesn't. I don't know how much that's a driving factor for guys in their decision making. I think it's more that like I think there's plenty of good reasons to battle through in tough moments. I don't know that getting the respect in the locker room would be at the top of my list. You know what I mean? Like, okay. I think like just for yourself, right? Like to prove to yourself that you can battle through, and for like future matches, you should try to battle through.
Right.
Like,
yeah, and he was pretty close. Like, I understand if you like lose that second set and then you're really feeling it physically and you like get broken first game of the third, and it's like, okay. But like there was no effort to even do that, which was kind of alarming because like to me, it's frustrating because the quality of his tennis is top 10 level. I think it's a lot of the other stuff. It's like sometimes he just doesn't feel it. Right. And like the match against Draper at the US Open, it's a clear example, right? Like he just wasn't feeling it, missed every ball long, and just like, okay, whatever, You just can't have that.
And I think that's what's still holding him back, right? Is like, it's just,
yeah. So, but impressive week. And I'm not concerned about him going into Australia. I think I actually think he could make a deep run just by his quality of tennis.
It is concerning. That's 4 retirements for Machac in the last. And granted, 2 of them were kind of weird ones at the Davis Cup. But no, that's 5. That's 5 retirements from Machac since September. Granted, 2 of them were at Davis Cup, but still, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Like, that's a lot. 5 retirements is a lot for a guy in a year.
It's a lot. That's a lot. And like, you're not even counting like the 2-1 duds. Like he's had a few of those too.
Yeah, no, this isn't duds. This is true retirements when he just walked off the court.
Yeah. But if you look at his quality wins, they stack up with the best of them.
Like, no, for
against
sure.
Paul, he has one against Alcaraz. He has one against Hubie this week. He has one against well, he could have beaten Rude. I think he had one against Djokovic in Geneva. Right? Like he took Medvedev to like 4 tough sets at the French. Right? Like he has a lot of good results as well. So I don't know. But tennis wise, I know when we like talked last year about like who we think has the highest potential, Machac versus like Caboli, Arnaldi, and Lehecka, even. I would put Machac at the top of the list now, from what I've seen recently, just tennis wise.
The athletic ability is certainly like, but it's hard to say. Like, I don't know. It's again, you get into that word potential because like, I don't think that Arnaldi's like potential has gone anywhere. he's had a pretty rough last. He's kind of flat. I don't want to say he's had a rough last 6 months. He's kind of flatlined, I feel like. But I don't know that his potential is like suddenly gone. I feel like he's just like hit a plateau.
I mean, Arnaldi, he played fantastic tennis against Popyrin. And then, like, I mean, I guess the match in hindsight, the match against Opelka wasn't that bad, but it didn't seem like it was as high of a level. It's probably because, like, you just don't have rhythm in that matchup, you know?
Yeah, I got to imagine it's tough to play against Opelka.
It probably is, yeah.
Because like there's so many like weird, even beyond like the zillion aces that you're gonna get dealt your way. Like it's also the
Yeah.
like the even the rallies. Like you're gonna get a lot. Like Opelka hits so many just like he goes for so many crazy shots because he kind of has to because he doesn't have the best movement. So he'll just slap a ball for a winner and then he'll slap the next ball like the bottom of the net. And it has to be really hard to play against that because you don't know like what's coming.
What's coming, yeah. So, like, I think at the time, I thought it was a disappointing loss for Arnaldi coming off the Popyrin win and then losing to Opelka. But then when you see how well Opelka played against Djokovic and Perricard, I guess like in hindsight, it wasn't that bad of a loss. You know?
Yeah, it's always hard to say. I think it's always. I think it's always tough to evaluate one tournament because it's not a lot of matches.
Right.
And so like you're basing a lot of things off of a guy on like 1 or 2 days. So I think you have to be a little careful.
Yeah.
There's not too many guys who like you talk about like updating your priors. There's not too many guys who I'm making massive like updates to my priors on based on this week. There are a couple. And we'll get into one, maybe specifically who I think to me, clearly looks better.
Okay.
But I don't know that like there's a lot of guys where I'm seeing results and I don't want to say I'm brushing them aside, but take them with a grain of salt, I guess you could say.
Who's that one guy you are updating priors on from this week?
I thought Muller looked really. I mean, going in a completely bizarre, different direction. But I watched the Munar match, and I watched the Nishikori match. I thought Muller looked really good. I thought I thought he looked better than what I've ever seen him look. And granted, that's against like not as big of power guys, but his forehand and his forehand, and he seemed to be more aggressive than I feel like I've ever seen him.
Yeah. I mean, to come back also, from a set down each match and win, 5 in a row like that, just the mental toughness and the tenacity that takes is quite impressive. Like, it's like,
and I agree, but I'm not surprised to see him have the tenacity piece. I feel like that's what I mean. Like that's, I don't want to say it's expected, but I'm not like what I was surprised by is like how much he took it to. I thought, like especially Nishikori, but even Munar to some extent too in the back ends of both those matches.
he did seem a lot more aggressive.
And you mentioned he trained with Sinner in the offseason.
He did.
And like I shoot that aside when we talked about that the last couple of times, but like maybe there is a difference there. Now I want to see it against like I do want to see him play against like some better players, and some better players and also some players more like who are more weapon centric. Because like Munar obviously isn't really a weapon centric player.
Mm-hmm.
Nishikori has weapons, but it's more like counter punching and taking the ball early than it is like blasting away. I want to see how Muller does against like,
well,
I don't know, maybe like a Kaboli or
Machac
or somebody like that.
Arthur Feast, he has weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see any of the Feast match. So I didn't know if that was like
That was
bad
crazy
Feast or good
because
or
Feast won the first set, and then I think Muller broke straight away in the second, and Feast had like I think 14 break points that he couldn't convert. And then he finally did. And then he took his foot off the gas pedal and it just totally went away. It was bizarre.
Yeah, weird.
He had 14 break points. He finally got one. So he got back on serve. And then you think, oh, that's the time.
Yeah.
Like Feast is going to, take over. He got broken to love his next game. And then he went away completely. So, I mean, that's kind of Arthur Feast for you. And then like, he's very talented and like, great shot maker, but he doesn't have that that tenacity piece that Muller does. You know,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
the opposite of
Ironically,
Muller.
yeah,
You know, that's what I
yeah.
feel. I
Other
guess
notes from Hong Kong. I thought it was interesting that no seeds made the semis. Like that's pretty crazy.
no seeds made the semis. Yeah,
Yeah, because the semis were Nishikori, Muller, um, Shang, right? Shang made the semis, and
Chang and Nishikori.
yeah, Shang, Nishikori, Muller, Munar. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Crazy run.
I mean, Rublev went out to Marajan in the first round, so that's
Yeah.
Do we have any bets on Rublev? I don't know if we do or not. I can't remember if we have any bets on Rublev or not.
Rublev versus Demonor.
That's right. So that's
Okay.
a
Yeah.
oh, but we have so you have Demonor versus
Yeah. I have Demonor to be ranked higher than Rublev
okay.
because I thought Rublev would like
Okay.
drop pretty far under the top 10. Like I thought he would be ranked like 15, 16 at the end of the year.
Yeah, right. Because I bet Demonor to make the top 10 this year, but I think I took Rublev to beat out Demonor.
Right.
So that's not a good start for me.
Yeah,
Is the end of that.
but your Berrettini versus Lehecka is doing well.
Well, that's doing about as well as it possibly could do.
Yeah.
Berrettini went out first round and Lehecka won the tournament. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm trying to think before we move to Brisbane, if there's anything else to mention out of Hong Kong. Obviously, I mean, Nishikori making a final, I thought was pretty relevant. I mean, he's really back, man. Like he's not back to like top 10, but he's a real ATP player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not a guy you want to see early in a draw, especially first.
Yeah,
I feel because I think he's kind of more prone to breaking down physically as a tournament progresses. You know, and he got lucky with the Shang retirement, and I think he had a day off after the Kachanov win. So, like, I feel like in a slam, like if he goes 5 sets, then he's fade material in the next match. But like, I wouldn't want to see him first round. Is my point.
I agree with that. I agree with that for sure.
But Nishikori
another good note from a tennis perspective. Not anything that surprised me, but Munar beating Musetti. You know, Musetti going out relatively early in a quarter. I mean, I don't think Musetti's that good on hardcourt. I think he's a natural surface guy. But you know, I think there's probably people in the tennis world who would put Musetti as the top 30 hardcourter, and I don't think that's true.
No, he's quite poor in hardcourts. I mean, it's that's a match.
Like I wouldn't even have him as a top 50 hardcourter, but I thought, you know, from a pure tennis recap perspective, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Diallo barely beat Baena, and then went out to Musetti. I thought, you know, there's been a lot of hype around Diallo. I'm not.
We got to pump the brakes on Diallo. I think he's being overvalued. I agree.
I think he's like a borderline guy, like somewhere around like borderline top 100. I think on faster courts where the serve plays up, he'll do better, and then he'll struggle on slower courts.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think he might be like top 70 or top 80, but he can only play on that one type of surface, right? Like any other court, like a slower anything slow, he's done. You know.
I also thought, like, while we're on the topic, a more general topic than like a player topic, but like I thought a lot of players made really odd scheduling decisions. Like Diallo probably leading the list, like why Diallo would play in Hong Kong. Not really sure why Feast would choose Hong Kong over Brisbane. Those two guys probably more specifically, but I was surprised to see. I don't know.
It might be some endorsement thing, you know, like I don't know if Feast has like an endorsement with you know, a Chinese company or something.
It could
I
be.
know.
It could be. I just thought it was very, very curious. Even like Norrie playing, I would think that Norrie, given like that New Zealand is kind of his home, I figured he would play a tournament closer by just to reduce the travel.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I feel like, Brisbane had a pretty strong draw, so it's like they want to play where the draw is a little weaker.
You're
Granted,
right. I think you're right, man. I think that's what it is. I think these guys. I think you hit on the head. I think you're right. I think that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I just for a guy like and yeah for it's really then really comes down to mostly Diallo, like for these guys who are like, like if you're a guy like Diallo who's going to be a fast court player, I don't know why you choose to play on a slower court. And I don't think for Diallo, like, I don't know, like he's not going to be the top, like he's not going to be the top guy in the draw in Hong Kong either, like
Diallo probably should have played the Canberra Challenger.
Fair.
That probably would have been better
Fair.
for him, but yeah,
Fair.
yeah.
Fair. Um,
What else did I want to touch on? Oh, Hubie Hurkacz, United Cup. So he started the week really poorly. He lost, I think, 5-3 to Rude, which was okay. Rude's actually playing better. Like I feel like he actually had an off season this year, and like I think he's kind of motivated to start better, you know, than he did last year. That's what it seemed to me. Like that match with Machac was high level. And then he played, I think, who did he play in the second match? Was Poland and he beat down Shevchenko in the quarterfinals. And he also played wait. Sorry. Oh, he played Machac, and that was 3 sets. But I felt like consistent improvement with Hubie. He changed his racket to a Wilson blade from the Yonex, and the coaching change, so like he's changed a lot in his team. And I thought the Shevchenko match and the Fritz match, he started hitting the forehand much better. Like the way he played against those two guys was kind of back to his normal level. So like I'm expecting decent things for him come Australia. If he continues this way. So, and he seems fully healthy again too. Like it didn't seem like he was carrying any of the injury that he had last year. So, I don't think he's serving quite as well. Like it seems like his first serve percentage is slightly off. I feel like that's something he can improve on. But it seems like he's trying to hit his forehand like with more air on it, like kind of deeper and with more spin. That's what it seems
makes
like.
sense.
Because like
Yeah, I
before,
think the coaching change is relevant. I'm
yeah,
always wary of racket changes. I don't really know, like, because these guys can
yeah.
customize the rackets so much. I'm always wary of that. But I definitely think the coaching change is relevant.
But he seems
So that's
to like
interesting.
he's doing like a complete 180. Like I feel like he's changing the racket, he's changing the coaches, like he's changing a lot in his like team and you know things he can control, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
makes sense.
I don't necessarily know what was bad with Craig Boynton.
I mean, it could have just been a matter of like he felt like Craig had led him to where he could lead him.
Yeah, I guess.
Like if his goal was to win a slam, maybe he felt like what he was doing wasn't going to get him there, and he needed to make a change to get to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably true. Probably true. Fritz continues to impress. He's just like a tennis junkie, Fritz. He just like I feel like he just thinks and breathes tennis all the time, which is like a great thing. But like to me, it's amazing that he's 4 in the world with what he possesses. Right? Because like what does Fritz do that like besides ball striking that's like amazing? Nothing.
Nothing at all. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, but he consistently gets better at like everything he can get better at. Like, you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like he's made himself, I think, a better athlete than he used to be. He clearly puts in the work. Like, fitness is not an issue. You know, like,
Mhm.
so I think he does. I actually, you know, the serve continues to get better. Like, he's got one of the best. I mean, he was second on the tour in aces last year.
Yeah, it's an underrated serve.
Zverev was first and he was second.
Yeah.
So
The thing with this,
you know,
his
I
serve,
think
though, is
there's
it doesn't break down, right? Like it's always 80% like good, I feel.
I mean, does his game ever break down? Anything in his game really ever break? I feel like he has less like breakdowns in his game than almost anybody. Like, he's really level-headed. Like, his
Yeah.
mannerisms are funny, but like he's really level-headed in terms of like I don't feel like he ever really like gives in.
No, he competes really
You know,
hard.
like, he's a bit stiff. He doesn't really change tactics too much, but it's not like he doesn't give in or like freak out or like, you know, like
He
other guys
changes
we've talked about. Like, it's
he
just like,
changes tactics subtly, right? Like I think he's cognizant of what's going
yeah,
on. He's just
yeah. I don't think he's
limited.
dumb. I just think he's limited. We talked about him several times. And I think like the word to describe him is limited. It's not like dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. He did lose to FAA from a set and a break up in the first group match, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
So.
Because I also bet him minus 3.5 games, and yeah, but he turned it around. He turned it around. Credit to him. But yeah, so that's United Cup. I guess we should talk about Brisbane. We got to talk about Opelka.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see much of the Djokovic match, but you said he played really well.
Oh, played so well. It was amazing. It was really amazing. Like I was shocked at how well he was hitting from the ground. And he was bullying Novak around the court, like in rallies. Which I don't know if it's more good Opelka or if that's troubling for Novak. That's
Well, what's amazing about that match is he won 13 out of 15 second serve points in that match. I think that's a really interesting stat. You
wow.
talk about second serve a lot, but 13
Yeah.
out of 15 is incredible. I mean, to be fair, he served at 77% first serve in, which is a ridiculous number. But yeah, he won 80% of service points against Djokovic, is one of the best returners of all time. Um,
Impressive.
87% on the, it's win 13 out of 15 on the second serve. I mean, I think we've talked about how we think Djokovic is probably the best second serve returner of all time.
Yeah.
And to win 13 out of 15 is pretty incredible,
Yeah.
I would
He
say.
goes after a lot of second serves too, but they also I mean, with his height, he can just like generate so much kick and pop off the ground.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that Opelka's second serve isn't good. I'm just saying, like, I think it's pretty incredible.
How many? What was Djokovic's second serve points won percentage?
12 out of 20, which is also really good, but not good enough
Yeah.
against what when honestly, Opelka only won 32% of return points, so he wasn't killing on the return. What made the difference was they didn't get broken.
And
Only faced one break point the whole match.
the game that Opelka broke in the second set was incredible too. It was like a backhand winner followed by like two backhand winners followed by like a screaming forehand winner. It was quite impressive. And then he closed the match out at love too. So mentally it was also very, very strong. No fist pumps.
That is impressive.
No fist pumps from him. No fist pumps, no racket shakes.
He's a weird guy, man.
But everyone likes him. I feel like they had, they had a warm embrace at the net. Like he seems weird on the court because he just shows absolutely nothing. But then when you like hear him talk, like he seems like a normal guy. No,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And
but
he's
on
pretty
court, it's
forthcoming
weird.
in his press conferences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but on court,
Um,
it's weird because he just shows nothing.
yeah, he does. He's incredibly stoic. I would agree with that. Um,
Like you would think, beating Novak, you show some fist pumps, like do something. He just does nothing, nothing. It's hilarious. But
oh,
Perricard,
so we can move on to the other serve bot, Perricard, who had a good week. I mean, Brisbane's one of the fastest courts on the tour, fastest hard courts on the tour. So you'd
yeah,
expect him to perform well in Brisbane, but he made a semi.
yeah, it's a good run for him. But I mean, I think people are overreacting with Perricard. I know this drives John Reed tidbits tennis crazy. How like Perricard hits like three aces and everyone thinks he's won 25 slams.
Yeah, yeah, I think like he's because of the way he plays, he's so close to a coin flip on any given day, right? He's
Yeah,
gonna have some like huge wins, and he's gonna have some like terrible losses.
right.
But I mean, and to be fair, Opelka's in the same boat. Like Opelka, he only won 27% of return points against Arnaldi. That went 2 tie breaks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember what against Perricard. I'm actually looking at the stats against Perricard. I think there were actually a surprising number of return points won in the match against Perricard. Yeah, he won 32% against Perricard. That's actually pretty good for him.
That's pretty good.
Um,
Well,
it's
maybe
not good. It's not good,
it's
but
not.
it's pretty
Yeah,
good for Opelka
it's good
or for Perricard.
relatively speaking, right? But like I was thinking,
Yeah.
maybe Opelka is better at returning Perricard serve because he's so long. Like he can get rackets
Yeah, you would
or
think because of
rackets
his length, he wouldn't
faults.
get aced that much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Opelka's problem is just his movement is so bad. I mean, he's really in trouble in rallies.
I mean, I think
Like he
Opelka is
just doesn't bend
slightly
either.
better than Perricard in terms of movement.
I don't know, maybe side to side, but like low balls are a complete disaster for Opelka. I feel like Perricard's better on low balls. So Opelka sometimes on low balls he doesn't even like try.
Wasn't the case against Novak. You got to watch the highlights of that match.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
is that match kind of like, oh, maybe this is like top 20 Opelka again. You know,
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is just a matter of him coming back to form. He was rusty last year. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe the price will be updated. I'll have to check it out.
and what happened against Lehecka? Did he just like run out of gas? Like he just, I got my win against Norrie.
I don't. It was kind of unclear. It was kind of unclear. Like, yeah, it was kind of unclear. Like from what it looked like to me, like at some point he like landed funny, and then I think he had like a lower leg injury, and he couldn't like push off or explode.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And he probably wants to be more conservative with injuries just because of like how rough it's been with it for him.
And
So
I would think just because of his size, right? We see guys of that size tend to have injury issues.
yeah, yeah,
Even if you think about to other sports, right? Like your taller players, like your taller, leaner players like that tend to have injury issues.
yeah. But for him, I'll give him a pass because of like his history and just like he probably just wants to be more conservative. But like not Machac, especially when you're playing, for your team. But yeah. I guess another guy who had to withdraw from injury, Dimitrov. I guess that's the next guy we can talk about.
Yeah, this injury thing is scary, man. I mean, this is the third time he's gotten like pretty significantly injured. Because I don't think Dimitrov's a wimp.
I agree with that.
Like it's the third time in the past, 7 months, right?
Yep.
That he's gotten like pretty significantly injured and had to retire from a match.
Yep.
That seems problematic to me.
Yeah, and father time might be approaching for him. Right?
Yeah.
He's in his
Yeah.
mid-30s now. He is 33,
33. Turns 34 in May.
but he plays a very physical brand of tennis, right? He doesn't play like serve bot tennis. Like it's kind of high
I would say
intensity.
moderately physical. I'd say moderately physical. I mean, I wouldn't say he's as physical as like a Munar, or like one of the clay grinders.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah.
Because he plays an attacking style of tennis.
Yeah, he does. You brought this up. Like to me, it feels like more defensive because he uses the slice a lot. But you brought it up that it's a very attacking minded tennis, right?
Yeah, I mean that's my opinion. I think it's like it's yeah, it's like a we see this, it's kind of similar to how Dimitrov plays a little bit more now, where it's more like Dimitrov's more of an attacker than Dimitrov because he hits, bigger because he is bigger. But like it's like he's rallying. Like he's not like trying to win the rally in 3 shots, but he's Agut plays that way. Agut was kind of the king of that, right? Playing like aggressive minded, but like baseline tennis.
Okay.
Or like aggressive minded rallying tennis. And I feel like that's the way to put it, is that he's like playing like, and it's not all power, it's like using spin and using like angle and spin and like smart shots, but it's aggressive.
But he
Like
also
aggression doesn't have to equal power.
but he's not like a Goot because he also transitions to the net, I feel. Right?
Right, right. I
He's an all
100%
quarter.
transitions to the net. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he uses the slice, I guess, to open up his forehand, right? Like to kind of open up the court, right?
That's
His
what I
slices
feel
have
like. Yeah,
purpose.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But like I think I mean actually the you brought it up, the Dimitrov Demonor matchup is one of my favorite matchups on tour. Like when those guys play, they play great matches.
Yeah, they do.
Just
They
such
do.
cagey points and like it's awesome. It's all it's one of my favorite like
Yeah.
matchups. Sure. But yeah, this injury thing is
Dimitriov's
definitely
very highly watchable. I think he's one of the funner guys to watch on the tour.
Dimitrov. I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this injury thing is definitely a concern. And it seems like it's the same thing, right? It's that hip.
Yeah, it seems like it's the hip in the back that like it seems like he's got a hip back issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope he plays the
I mean, look, he's got a lot of miles in the legs, right? He's had a long career. Like he came up young. I mean,
he did. He did. And his better years have been recently.
well, he did make number 3 in the world several years ago, right?
Oh, 2017. That's right. That was his
Yeah.
best year. Yeah. 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 How do you view his career? A disappointment or a success? I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird career.
I think very strong. I don't have any qualms with it because like his prime years came at the same time as those other top guys. So like I don't know that it's I don't know that it's fair to say that he was a failure because like I think the expectation was just like so high. And I also think like look, like during the late 2010s, right? Like I think there was like clawing for somebody to come up and challenge the big 3 or big 4,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so like, you know, even the last 5, 6, like I'd say the past 5, 6 years up until maybe the last couple of years now that you have Alcaraz and Sinner who are clearly challenging, like there was such a clamoring for it that like these guys like Dimitrov, you can put Tsitsipas in that bucket, maybe even like a Nishikori, you know what I mean? Like there was like anytime one of these guys would have a run, there would be like this, like, okay, maybe they're the next new guy.
Yeah, nothing materialized.
And I also think like because this generation of top players has set the bar, talk about the big three, has set the bar so incredibly high. We're now going to like disrespect career. And obviously Dimitrov doesn't have 6 slams, but we're going to start like disrespect, like 5 or 6 slams is like an amazing career.
Yeah, but Dimitrov doesn't have
like
one.
Murray's career is incredible.
Right. And he would have had way more than 3 had he not been in this era. So like, but Dimitrov doesn't even have 1.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
So like, you can't put him.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, I think,
and I'm not putting him in that boat.
But for me, the most disappointing part about Dimitrov was the end of 2017 into 2018. Like, I think he had a great 2017, right? He made the semifinals of Australia. I think he won the World Tour Finals, right? He finished 3 in the world. And then I was looking for that next step in 2018, but then remember he had those like really bad serving yips. I think he fell out of the top 30. Like it was really bad for a while. So I think he's had a lot of like, dips in his performance. And I think, I actually think these last couple of years have been impressive. That he was doing it at like an advanced age.
Yeah. Yeah, it is impressive that he fell so far. I mean, for years he was in the 20s. For years. Like he did fall out of the top 50 briefly. And then he came right back and got back in the top like 30, 20. But he was in that like 20 to 30 range for a couple years where he was essentially like an afterthought, another veteran journey guy on the tour. And now to come back in his 30s and all of a sudden like re-rise to the top 10.
And make 2 slam quarters, last year. And I thought like last year was one of his more impressive years on tour. So I
think probably his most impressive given the age, right? And like given the fact that like, I think he had a shot against Medvedev. What was he in that match? Like a pick'em?
Yeah.
It was close to pick, I think, when he played Medvedev.
Yep.
Right? And he had to take a retirement because he was hurt. He had a chance to beat TFO if he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, TFO was playing well. I'm not saying he does beat him, but that was a great match. That was a fantastic match until Dimitrov got hurt. And that even was with like Dimitrov. I don't think Dimitrov was at 100% even in the beginning of that match.
Dimitrov was favored in that match. Slightly favored. I think Tiafoe was like plus 130.
He was, but I'm saying I don't think he was even 100%. Right. Even at the beginning of that match, even walking out on the court. Like,
yeah. But yeah, this is an obstacle which I don't know if he's going to be able to get over it. If he keeps getting hurt like this, he can't get through a 250. Like it's not good.
Well, father time defeats all, right? Like
yeah. Any other guys you want to talk about before we get into
well, I mean, let me go through and see if there's anybody. I mean, we have to talk about the guy who won the tournament, right? Like by rule, we have to talk about Lehecka because he won the tournament.
Yeah.
Right? Like that should be like a rule. Like if you win a tournament, you should get discussed on the pod.
Feels like an uneventful tournament win, like he got 2 retirements, right? In the semis and final.
Well, but he did beat Holger Rune in the opening round.
That's true. That goes forgotten. But yeah, that was a good win. That was a really good win.
Yeah. And he beat Yoshi in a tough 3-setter. I mean, that's not an amazing win for him, but that's a Yoshi's not like a walk in the park. That's a real win. For me, nothing changed with him. Like I it's why, like, you know, you were talking about, like, on one hand, I'm betting against him to go 3 sets with Yoshi. No,
Yeah.
no, and then the next day I'm betting him to money line to beat Dimitrov.
Right.
Is because I feel like he's just like, he's kind of like a dog or pass guy, even though he's like borderline top 20 and now probably going to be in the top 20. He still is like dog or pass almost. Like he's just so inconsistent.
Yeah, but when he plays well, he can beat anyone. So he is a good guy to back as a dog because he just hits so big and like he
And
has the
he can put anybody
firepower
on the
to
back
just,
foot.
yeah, absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
which like I think if you want to be a top 10 player, it's better to be this way than to be like Bautista Agut, right? Like, you know, if I was like training a tennis player, I'd rather train Lehecka, you know, just because of
Oh,
that,
yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Like, you just got to get like, just a little, I don't know, a little harness it a little more, you know, like, just, you know,
Yeah.
just when to go for it and when not to.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you made really good bets both times. Like I thought the Yoshi bet, like that was a good bet on your part. Like to get what was plus 250.
Oh, and that was the money line was like close to that. The 3 sets was like
Yeah.
150.
Yeah, it's a good bet because like that's actually if you think about it, that could be a tough matchup, right? Because like Yoshi's gonna hit those like high loopy balls and just try to get one extra back, right? And like kind of force him into errors. And he was doing a great job of that in the second set. And like Lehecka,
Yeah.
he only plays one way. He doesn't have like a plan B,
Right. Right.
you know? So, but the thing is, Holger Rune also doesn't have a plan B.
Well, he has too many plans. Holmgren has all the shots. Like he can do so many different things. He just doesn't like he has plenty of plans. He just doesn't seem to choose the right one.
Yeah, and like whining and retiring is another plan for him, right?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think there's just a maturity thing there. You know what I mean? We'll see how he develops throughout the year. I mean, it is disappointing for him to lose in the first round of any tournament.
Yeah,
Lehecka's not a terrible loss. Like that is a brutal first round draw.
it's tough. It's
Like
really
it
tough.
tells you how strong this field was. That you
Yeah.
had Lehecka Rune as a first round matchup. Like,
Thompson
and then you had
Berrettini.
Thompson Berrettini as another first round matchup.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Thompson is
So
another guy that got hurt. I'm not worried about him. I think it was just a little blip. Like long term, I'm not worried about him.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, a lot of injuries, man. I feel like
Yeah.
lot of injury. I mean, a lot of injuries and retirements in
Well,
Brisbane.
it's not really an off season, right? It's like 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, right? So
No, it's like 2 months. I mean, the last tournament is like first week in November is the last week at 250s.
yeah, but then a lot of guys play Davis Cup, and then
Yeah, if you actually play out through like the true end of the season, you're probably right.
yeah, it's a short off season, like, and the grind is so long, and it's a cumulative thing, right? It just like so it's tough. I mean,
It's also a lot of these guys don't use the full off season. A lot of these guys play exos, and
I know
there's
a
like
lot
all
of
these like
money.
weird like club leagues, you know, like
Yeah, it's just a tough grind. Tennis season is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
it's a brutal
11
calendar.
months. It's a brutal.
But you know what? But we always say it like I don't I would feel a lot worse for these players though if they didn't go and play exos on their off weeks.
100%. 100. I don't feel bad for them.
Like
You can say it's brutal, but not feel bad for them, right? Like that's how I feel. Yeah, but
yeah,
and
like
it's
these
never
guys
going to
chase more
change.
money.
It's never going to change.
No, no.
It's too much money and stuff involved. So, all right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into the um, Auckland and Adelaide draws, and maybe talk a
Yep.
little Aussie Open qualifying. So.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. So we're gonna talk a little bit about Adelaide and Auckland. So I know you have a few futures picks in, right? and I have a couple as well.
Yeah. I think we already posted our futures picks. Yeah,
Yep.
I think we each have one pick in opposing tournaments, so that'll be kind of interesting to talk about.
Yep. So what are yours?
Well, I just have Borges at 25. I have Borges at 25-1 in
Auckland.
wherever it is, Auckland. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the one I went with in Adelaide, we'll talk about Adelaide later. We can start with Auckland. So obviously there's the tournament in Auckland. The things to note in this tournament, I think the biggest thing to note is the wind, honestly. Like, this is a very windy tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Pretty medium paced court, I'd say.
Yeah.
Medium-ish paced court. Pretty, I would say, not too dissimilar to the Aussie Open. Aussie Open will be hotter. Actually, you know what? Probably not that similar because it's cooler in Auckland. It's cooler in New Zealand.
Yeah, I think Aussie is quicker.
Well, because it's hotter.
Yeah.
It's hotter, and like, and it's obviously you don't have like the windiness of New Zealand. But yeah. Kind of an interesting note here from a betting perspective. This is kind of insane, but favorites priced between -120 and -200 in the past 2 years are 6 and 15.
Huh. In Auckland?
So like small dogs short dogs are incredibly successful here.
Huh.
Over the past 2 seasons.
And what would you say the reason is for that?
I mean, I'm shocked they're actually. I'm guessing a lot of it's variance, right? You're only looking at 21 matches.
Yeah.
But I would say I think the wind plays a role.
Yeah.
Like when it's windy, that just adds another like variable in, and it's I think it's really hard. Like, I don't know as a bookmaker or even as somebody who's trying to handicap how you price in wind. Like, how do you quantify that?
Yeah.
Like, you can say the line should move X.
Well, I think when there are factors like that, right, like such as wind, I think that gives a better chance to the better, right? Because you could weigh that, and like I would think someone like for example, Borges, I feel like wind is not a terrible thing for him, right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't hit with too much power. It's not really a timing-based game. It's more like he just maneuvers the ball around the court, kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas a guy like Luca Pui, who withdrew today, but like I feel like he's kind of more like that aggressive timing-based player, and I think wind would impact him more.
I also think it's very much a mental thing, Like I think some guys just mentally, like your guys who are like more mentally fragile. Like Fokina does really poorly with the wind.
That's why
Zverev, has called himself what?
That's why Fokina is playing in Adelaide.
Yeah. Zverev has called himself the worst wind player on the tour, right? That's not true. That's overstatement, but Zverev doesn't like the wind. Like, I think a lot of these guys who are more mentally fragile also struggle with the wind.
Whereas like Nadal was probably the best wind player of all time, right? Just because of how mentally.
I think that was a combination of the amount of spin, tactics, and the mental toughness. I think he was just like perfectly built for it from every perspective.
Right.
But I even think of like a Carballes Baena does really well in like all these difficult conditions, whether it be heat, wind, like
Although
I know he's losing to Altmaier right now,
but Altmaier is pretty mentally tough too, right? He'll battle and tough it out.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But like Jan-Lennard Struff, for example, like that's a guy who I don't think is going to be that good in wind.
Or any of your big guys who are like, honestly, any of your serve-oriented guys I think are going to struggle with the wind. Because if the ball's blowing the toss, that makes it a lot harder to hit.
Yeah, I agree. And that takes it to my outright here is Cam Norrie at 12-1. By far my favorite pick, and I'm actually surprised that you're not on that. Because he has a qualifier in the first round, followed by Baez, who's a complete mess on hard court, and then Perricard withdrew. So he would either play probably Boo, Martinez, or Monfils in the quarters, And he grew up in New Zealand, so he's used to the conditions. He's won this tournament before. He kind of has that spinny game, which like gives himself a little more margin in wind. Um, I don't think Tabilo is going to be able to replicate what he did last year. Mickelson has some question marks. I mean, he's a solid player, but like I don't think there's anyone in that bottom half of the draw that Norrie can't beat. Norrie also played pretty well in Hong Kong. Like even though he lost to Nishikori, I thought like he didn't play poorly. Um, so and then like Shelton, that's a guy who you would think would struggle in wind. Um, so I don't know. I really like Norrie at 12-1 here.
So I think he's the most. I think I don't think he's more than 50% likely to win the quarter, but I think he's the most likely guy to win that quarter.
Uh-huh.
But my challenge with him is like, if I'm gonna back guys at a price of less than 20-1, I want to feel like, and with Norrie, I guess you could say like he really should beat Baez, and he really should beat
He should be biased.
he should beat Baez. So I guess that would be the answer. But like, some like it's a weird week for the qualifying because there's a few qualifiers in both these draws who aren't bad, and then it's like a precipitous drop off, right? Because all the guys like 100, like all the guys ranked like 110 to 230 are all in the Aussie Open qualies.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's a few, like drawing a qualies guy in this tournament, like there's a few qualies guys in each draw who are decent. Like if you look at Auckland, the qualifiers were, so I guess Norrie and Nishesh and Sumit not really, but Zizou's not bad. Like Zizou's a pretty tough qualifier.
Well,
I don't know if they've
the first match for Norrie is Diaz Acosta.
So that's an incredibly, yeah. I mean, that's a so he got, well, so he ended up getting the lucky loser. So he got a really good draw from that perspective.
So you got Diaz
I hadn't seen that he had Diaz Acosta. I probably, if I know he's got Diaz Acosta, becomes more interesting. Because then, I mean, because now that's two guys he really should beat, right? So that means like,
yeah.
that means he really, and with Perricard out, that means like really the only guy who should give him a challenge in that quarter is Monfils and maybe Boo.
Yeah, the person that took Perricard's spot is Jan-Lennard Struff.
Oh, right. They moved the whole draw.
They moved the
around.
whole
That's
draw,
right.
yeah. So the draw that you're seeing on
is wrong.
the
That's
side
right.
is
Yeah, they
wrong.
redid the whole draw. You're
You have
absolutely
to go
right.
on the ASB Classic like website. It's up to date.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They redid, I forgot they redid the whole draw. Yeah, given that he drew Diaz Acosta first round, that makes a big difference because Diaz Acosta, like, that gives him another guy who he can who he should easily beat. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, now, yeah, because now the only guy, I mean, like, now the only, I mean, look, I'll say what I said before. The two guys in that quarter that are scary for him are Monfils and Boo. And he'll probably have to beat one of them.
I'd agree
And
with
then he'll
that.
have to beat
With Monfils, I think motivation might come in, like playing a week before a slam for him, plus like is he really out there to play 250s? Like with Norrie, he wants to win this tournament.
but we've seen Monfils play pretty well in 250s.
Yeah, but not weeks before slams.
True. I think that's a fair comeback.
Boo will probably be but he'll be motivated, but I don't like if it's windy, I think he's gonna struggle in the wind.
Okay. Um,
And
Yeah,
then
and I think Q4, whoever he plays coming out of Q4, that's probably pretty close to a coin flip.
yeah.
And then the top half is probably pretty close to a coin flip. So I can get behind it a lot more now that the draw's been. No, I mean, these updates to the draw make a big difference, right? Like
It does.
getting
It does.
Perricard out of there and replacing Perricard with Struff, and then getting to draw Diaz Acosta as your lucky loser.
Yeah.
Like that's two. Those are two really big breaks. That 12-1 price looks a lot better.
Okay.
We'll see if it's still there by
It
tomorrow,
is.
because I don't know if the draw changes are going to
Oh, it's
change the
probably they're
pricing.
playing matches now, so it's probably not up. Yeah.
But
I've hit it at anything like 9.5 to 1 or something like that. Like that was my minimum buy point.
I don't think that's a terrible thought now. Yeah, his chances of winning the quarter go way up. With
Diaz.
Perricard out of there and drawing Diaz Acosta.
Yeah. I agree.
Like if he would have drawn Zizou, and I knew he wasn't drawing Zizou, but if he would have, but yeah, I mean, and then yeah. So it's close. I think the point on Monfils is good. I guess that's something I have to probably look into more. Is like what is Monfils's like level of motivation right before a slam? Hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Shelton last
When
year,
would he play Monfils? Second round, quarter?
I played him in the quarter.
Quarter. So yeah. So he doesn't have to beat Monfils and Boo, just one or the other. That's
Right.
a good thing. Like his section is now incredibly weak. I mean, now if you can get 12 to 1, it looks a lot better in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then Tabilo.
Before that, I was worried about like basically you're sitting with like what's basically 3 coin flips in the quarters, semis, and finals. And then if you're only getting 12 to 1 and you've got 3 coin flips is 8 to 1 already. So is he 2/3 to win 2 matches? Well, then he's got to be like 80% to beat both those guys.
Yeah.
Is he 80% to beat a qualifier? I don't know. Is he 80% to beat Baez? I don't even know if he's 80% to beat Baez, like just because of his game style. Like,
is there a line on that matchup?
well, no, because he's got to play Acosta first.
Oh yeah, he's got to play Acosta first. That's right. But I would assume he would be like minus 300 to beat Baez.
Yeah.
Minus 350.
Yeah, well, but minus 300, that's only saying a 75% chance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's value on that. Like, I probably
Okay.
at that price
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think it's always good when Sean Calvert from the Betting Weekly Game Bet Match podcast agrees with you, and he was all over it. So.
Oh, he was? I don't even listen to them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what price it was that he liked it at. I can actually look it up now, what price he liked it at. He might have liked it at more like 20, actually, though.
Well, I do listen to them. I just didn't listen to them in this instance.
Oh no, he was on Norrie at 9. So yeah, like
Oh wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 12.
Yeah, so I think that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, the Shelton price just makes no sense to me. Like at like what, 5 to 1?
Well, it's based on ATP rank and based on
Yeah, but his draw is also ridiculous. Like Mensik in the first round, and then Borges.
Yeah, that quarter is tough. That top quarter is very tough. It's a very tough Q1.
I mean, that's the reason why I didn't like Borges, just because of his draw. Like I thought he would be there.
But his section is quite good. So he plays either Navoni or Marino next round. So it's not until the quarters that he has to play one of those tougher guys. And honestly, I don't really see that big. Maybe you do, but I don't see that big of a difference between Mensik. Actually, I would put Mensik a level like 1 tier above. But I think there's like Q2 is pretty soft. But unfortunately, there's nobody in Q2 that I want to pick. But Q2 is quite soft. Like, I don't know what Zizou's price is now, but Zizou could be interesting just because his quarter's so soft. And he drew a really good first round matchup. He drew Isaac Beecroft, who's a Oklahoma State player.
You're looking
But
at the draw.
what?
Yeah, yeah, Beecroft. Okay.
Yeah, Beecroft is ranked like 950 in the world. He's an NCAA player. I think he played like third singles last year at like Oklahoma State. Like,
Yeah, but Bergs is not playing the same level. I mean, he'll beat Beecroft, but he's not playing at the same level he was at the end of last year. He went
yeah.
Komasanya. I think he lost first round last week.
Oh, but Kaboli's in that queue too. I forgot Kaboli. So like that's the thing. Like Kaboli's in that queue
Yeah,
too.
Kaboli, that's tough.
In a windy on a I don't know. Is wind good for Cerundolo? I don't think wind's too bad for Cerundolo. Not that any hard court's good for Cerundolo though. So, but I don't know. Like, but you got Kaboli in Q2.
I don't think
You
that
got
wind is great for
no.
Kaboli because Kaboli is a very aggressive based player.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I think like based on the wind, I get it. Like I can get down with. I think there's I can get with Norrie here as a good pick.
Yeah, definitely my favorite pick on the board, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, what about Adelaide?
So my pick was Nuno, right? We talking about my pick was Nuno
Yeah,
at 25
25.
to 1. Yeah, I just liked the price. You know, I know it's a tough quarter, but like he also had a very easy draw. So I don't know why it went 7-5 in the third with
Well,
Darderi, but
it's
luckily he
easy
got
until the
through.
quarters, whereas I think Norrie's draw is easier in the quarters, right? Boo
I
or
don't put that
Monfils.
much of a gap between Mensick and like a Boo or a Monfils.
What about Shelton?
Oh, I don't put I don't see much of a gap between Mensick and Shelton. Like I'm not that worried about Shelton here. Like Shelton's never done well in 250s, right? Like it's windy. Like this is it's the week before a slam. Like this is not a spot for Shelton.
I don't necessarily think Shelton thinks that way. Like he played this event last year.
And
And
he lost in the semi Satoru Daniel.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Did he play Winston-Salem?
No,
Eastbourne?
no,
Did he play Eastbourne?
no. No, I think a lot of these guys play this week because again, like you have 2 weeks to choose from, right?
Only
Either
two.
you play like last week or you play this week. Like there's only 2 weeks of warm-ups.
Right, right. Yeah. But I do think Shelton is gonna be motivated. Like I don't think he's just gonna like tap out.
For me, it's not such a motivation issue. It's that I just don't think on like I think it's pretty limited where Shelton's really good. Like I don't know that on like a medium paced hardcore with wind
Yeah.
that Shelton's more than like a top 40 player. Like I have him and Mensick in kind of the same tier. I think they're a level above the Monfils and Boo tier, but I think it's only like one level.
One
Like,
level. Okay.
you know.
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
Like basically I actually don't see that much of a difference between the argument we're making for Nuno and the argument that I'm making for Nuno and the argument you're making for
Okay.
for Norrie, right? Like
I also think Norrie is slightly better than Nuno.
okay, I can understand that. I don't know that I agree, but I think it's close.
Like I'm not
Um,
impressed with Nuno's win against Darderi in 3 tight sets. Like that's a match he should be winning.
Oh, that was a terrible match. No, I mean Nuno made 45 unforced errors. If Nuno makes 45 unforced errors, like that's not the Nuno I'm betting on, right? Like I'm betting on a Nuno that keeps the ball on the court. Like,
Yeah.
like if he plays like that again, yeah, he probably will lose, you know. But yeah, that was bad. That was just not. It just wasn't a good match. I mean,
Yeah.
Nuno just didn't play well. Like, he was very frustrated. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't a good match. It wasn't good.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, Adelaide. So I have a bet.
Well, I guess in terms of draw talk, like before we move on, like
Yeah.
any other draw talk from the for this event, anything else you're looking at, you're like interested in besides your futures pick?
Not really.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's kind of a lame draw.
Yeah, nothing really catches my eye.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
I'm just gonna be hoping my futures cash.
I agree.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
just figured I'd ask. We can move to Adelaide. I don't think like
well,
what'd you say?
Basavaredi is in the bottom half of the draw. With he's in the little section on the bottom. He plays Comasanya, who's a lucky loser, to play Tabilo. What do you think of Basavaredi? What are your thoughts on him?
I mean, he's a young kid, right? Like he's what, 22?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't, I think like he's got a game that does, I think that'll do really well at the challenger level, but I think he'll have to make improvements to be able to be successful at the ATP level. I think that's a very like blasé generic thing to say. You could probably say that about a lot of challenger players, but I do think like he needs to develop more weapons, and to develop more a little bit of a better serve to be successful. I think at the
Yeah.
to be successful at ATP level.
Yeah, he kind of has the Mickelson thing, and like I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to have that kind of level of success, like kind of his first year, playing main level tennis.
Yeah, no, I don't see it right. I think there's a lot of hype there. Like, I think, yeah, I think it's
But how is it different than Mickelson? Like we were saying the same thing about Mickelson in terms of like not a great athlete, like needs to, get some more uh pace on his shots, not
because Mickelson has
explosive.
nasty hands.
It's true.
Mickelson has sick hands.
It's true. Yeah, that's true.
And his IQ might be a little bit better than Yashesh. Like Mickelson also has a really good tennis IQ.
Yeah, Nishesh has a high tennis IQ. Maybe not quite as high,
Yeah.
but yeah. Mickelson also has really good like competitive instincts.
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. On to Adelaide. So Tommy Paul's the number 1 seed. Um,
So I think like going to the tournament itself, like the key thing to mention here is the heat. So it's going to be 90 Fahrenheit, over 30 Celsius for most of the week. Or at least highs of close to that for most of the week. So I
Yep.
think that's worth mentioning.
Okay. Today and tomorrow is pretty cool, but then it gets warm.
Yeah, I think
Looks like it's pretty windy here as well.
moderately, like not, I mean, historically not as much as Auckland, right? The other thing to mention about Auckland, not this year, but they also, if it does rain, they have that goofy indoor court in Auckland.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any rain scheduled at all this week, but they do have that awful indoor court.
yeah, it is pretty funny, and it's like it's so like not ATP level. Like the
Yeah.
conditions in there, it's so funny. But
Yeah.
uh
But
what,
I don't think they'll be using that this week.
what were we making fun of? Didn't like a ball go to the curtain or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like
Yeah, I
that.
think the ball went into the
Last
curtain.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
funny. But
Yeah.
one thing is did you bet the RBA against Fokina today?
I did not.
You did not. I think you're going to change it. Granted, today there's wind gusts up to 27 miles per hour.
Yeah, that is certainly makes it exciting to bet on an RBA.
Because that Fokina can't play in the wind. Period. End of story. Like,
yeah.
he just can't.
Yeah.
Did you know that Fokina lost a tiebreak in 15 matches in 2024, and in all 15 matches that he lost a tiebreak, he lost the match. So if he loses a tiebreak, he doesn't recover.
That also tells you that's why I'm so convinced he's going to get in the top 50, because I think it's all like that's also just a funky stat that has to turn around. His tiebreak record was also horrendous in he had a terrible tiebreak record also in 2024. And that has to turn around just by sheer variance. Like, I'm trying to look at what his tiebreak record was last year. He was 7-17 in tiebreaks last year. That has to turn around.
Yeah. Why does it have to turn around though? He's so mentally unstable.
He was 3-15 against guys ranked in the top 100. Like it's just like variance. Like at some point, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like it's like nobody's this bad. Granted, his mental is a lot worse than a lot of other guys, so maybe you're right. We'll see. But I'm convinced it'll turn around. It'll get a little better.
I love that bet though. That's one of my favorite bets of the day.
I guess what I would say is like his his tiebreak record in 2017 or in 2023 was 13-14 against top 100 players, and in 2022 it was 8-14. So like, look, do I think he's going to become a good tiebreak player? No. But is he going to go 3-15 again? No, right? Like I'd expect him to win like 35, 40, you know, like some kind of really crappy number that indicates that you're like a mental wimp. But like,
yeah, I mean, he's
like 3-15 is almost like historically bad. Like
he's out of the top 60 now.
Right, but you don't have to do that much. I mean, like the difference between 60 and 50 is not that much. It can only be like a few hundred points.
Yeah.
Which is a couple of matches. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, I've long been like a Fokina apologist / believer. So
you've always been. Yeah.
I did call him top 10 on clay like 18 months ago. So I think I slide him at number 9. Like, so
yeah,
I've long been a Fokina lover, but I do think that like it's like there's no like, let's put it this way, like it can't get worse than 3-15.
Yeah, I'd agree with
that. I mean, it can like technically, but like he's not, you know what I mean? Like it's not going to get any worse. So, yeah.
Well, so
that is a good point.
So that's my play in this tournament. It's Bautista Agut to win the event at, I think I got 22 to 1?
18 to 1, maybe
18 to 1.
20? Yeah. So what I don't love about that is I actually think like that quarter is like sneaky tough because you've got Yoshi.
Okay.
You've got Yoshi.
You're also a Yoshi lover.
And you've also got Adelaide Kokonakis.
Okay, that's true. Adelaide Kokonakis.
Right? So you've got like a lot of tough guys in there who are like near Agut's level. And Fokina is actually, who's the favorite there? Is Fokina Fokina's the favorite against Agut today, right?
Slight favorite, yeah. So probably the rollover is probably better.
Is probably the way to go. I also would think, I mean, we'll see if Korda plays, but if Korda plays, he would be a favorite against RBA. I'm not saying deservedly so. Like, I think I would back RBA there.
Yeah.
But it might end up becoming a rollover play for me because I do think like we'll see if Korda even plays. Like Korda pulled out last week, so
yeah, his elbow is still not healed, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think the combination of Yoshi and Kokonakis and having Fokina in that first round match, like
yeah, it's a tough draw. There's no two ways about it.
But Q3 is really weak. So I get it. Because like if RBA makes the semis, he's a favorite against anybody. Like if he were in that Q3, he would be my favorite to win that quarter.
Yeah, please tell me that you're not betting Bublik versus Kecmanovic.
I haven't looked at the match yet, but I can't imagine I would. Like, we just have no idea where Bublik's at. Like, to me, that's actually almost honestly, though, that might be a match where you just, like, hold your nose and take whoever's plus money.
I think it's a pick 'em. I think
because is there like
last time I
is checked. It really?
Yeah, it is. Because the books have no
then
idea.
You can't. Then I won't be able to play it.
Yeah.
Nobody does, right? Like it all depends on like you don't know which Bublik is going to show up, and you don't know which Bio is going to show up, and like, yeah.
That just seems like a complete nightmare to bet.
Actually, Bublik had the legendary quote here back in 2020 That was you don't try to. It was like you don't try to play well this tournament. You try to survive. Which
Yeah.
again, like getting back to these players and their scheduling decisions, like it makes me really question their scheduling decisions because, like, if that's your thought on this tournament, then why not go play Auckland where it's like cool?
Yeah, I don't know. That is something that would come out of Bublik's mouth too. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Just a
Um,
really bizarre.
yeah, I mean, nothing else really catches my eye too much. Tommy Paul. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, if I were gonna play somebody in this field, I am giving significant consideration to having that be my futures pick, even though he's the tournament favorite. It's 4-1, and he is by far the best player in this draw. Because Lehecka is now out, so that's the new news there. Lehecka has withdrawn.
okay.
So, and with Korda's elbow still not being right, like the two seed is Korda, the 5 seed is FAA, the 6 is Bublik, who's not even going to try here. He's just going to be like, it's too hot. I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Nakashima is a legitimate threat in his quarter. And then the other seed is Echeverry. So, like, there's just nobody here to, like...
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I think Giron could actually be a minor threat.
But he's by at least a couple of levels the best player in this field.
I would agree with that. I wouldn't play it just because of the low price and like I don't know what kind of Tommy Paul is going to come out. Like I don't know how much training he's been doing. In the off season. Like, is he going to come out rusty a little bit? I actually think Roman Safilin is actually like a tricky first round match because he could just kind of take the racket out of your hand.
Oh, I think he's a very tough draw. Between Nakashima and Saflin, I think that's a really tough draw. Like, I'm not
Yeah, he's
disagreeing
by
with
far the
that.
best player, but we saw Safilin take 2 sets off of him at the US Open.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I think he's a significant, like, is he not better than 60% against anybody? Like, who in this draw has more than a 40% chance of beating Tommy Paul?
No one.
So if you just do straight math, and I'm not sure it perfectly works in this case because of what you said, like the whole
Yeah.
because of like the whole like motivation piece, given it's the week before a slam. But if he's a 60% chance to beat all 4 guys he plays, that gives him a 21.6% chance of winning, just straight math. A plus 375 price, the break-even price is like 21 point something percent. So if he's 60% to beat everybody, to beat each guy he plays, that's basically the price you're getting.
I'm not saying it's a bad price. I'm just saying, like, I just wouldn't hit it. Like, I would need something better to account for what I stated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But my play here, I do have a play here. It's a little bit of a tricky one. I know you don't like these prices, but I think this has potential GBM.
Okay.
Minus 175 on an unseeded finalist. Given in the bottom half, your seeds are Bublik, Echeverry, and Korda. Like, I would almost take minus 175 on just that bottom half for those 3 guys to not be the finalist. Because, like, Korda, given the heat, remember he broke down in Winston-Salem, was it last year or the year before?
Yeah.
And just, like, withdrew. He played, like, a tough match against Gasquet and just said, I'm done, I'm out of here.
Yeah, he's not the best in the heat.
A, he's not the best in the heat. B, given that he's coming off an elbow,
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure he's going to be that interested in playing through a full tournament.
Right. Yeah, week before slam.
And putting all that stress on the elbow. What?
A week before a slam too. What's Kokonakis' price
Yeah.
to win the event?
Roughly 20 to 1, I think.
Uh,
I just think like the problem is like he's so inconsistent, and again, that Q4 is tough, man. Like with Yoshi, like Yoshi's a tough first round match. Like that's not a shoo-in. He should win it. Or not he should. I think he's more than 50% likely, but it's not a shoo-in.
no.
And then Agut or Fokina. Or if Porta does
That's
win
why
that,
Yoshi
that should be
pulled out of the qualifying because he knew he would just get a lucky loser spot.
Oh, did Yoshi really? Was he in the qualifying? He
Yeah,
really pulled
he was
out?
in qualifying and he pulled out.
That's funny.
Because I think they went through so many lucky losers that even the losers of like Q1 of like the first qualifying round, they got in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's but I don't know. I really like Bautista Agut. Plus, like, we talk about Adelaide Kokonakis. We've talked about January RBA, right?
That's
Like
true. That's true.
that's a thing. So
That is a thing. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, he
yeah,
does seem to play well in this part of the calendar, this part of the world.
he does.
Yeah.
And like heat doesn't bother him.
No, I don't. There's nothing I don't like. Honestly, like he's a guy, like when he's a guy who I would have wanted to back. I just don't know that 18 to 1's a great price given the draw.
Okay. Like if he was in Q3, then you'd be all over it.
Right, right.
Right. Okay.
Like I wouldn't be stunned. I wouldn't be stunned to see him win the event,
Yeah.
I just think like that particular quarter, honestly, that particular quarter like is one of the more fascinating quarters of the 250 because honestly, anybody in that quarter besides School Kate could come out of that quarter.
I actually think School Kate is live against Echeverry because like Etch is struggling on hard court now. Like he barely beat Billy Harris in United Cup.
I know, but he does get a pretty ideal draw for the first round, not after that, but for the first round.
Etch has become like almost like a pure over guy on hard court.
Okay.
It's like, lower ranked opposition.
Yeah.
So, but even against higher ranked opposition, like he took Sinner to 3 in Shanghai. So,
right.
So I really like Etch as an over guy.
But I think that makes him live. Like he's like that Q3, like everybody except School Kate, I think, is live to win that quarter. Which is why I can't unfortunately pick anybody to like
win the event
out of it as like a futures pick because I think that like anybody could win that quarter, right? Like
so why do RBA as a rollover then?
Yeah, that's probably what I would do.
Okay.
If I'm gonna yeah.
Are you backing him against Fokina given the windy conditions? Is he still plus 110?
It gets a rethought given the windy conditions. I mean, that's what I gotta look at. Like, when is the match? Like, when are the gusts expected? Like, because if I'm gonna back him based on wind, then I need that wind. Like, no, because otherwise, I don't really think like he's a particularly great. Like, otherwise, I think it was priced pretty well. Otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah, he still is plus 110. Like,
110.
I think, and you probably disagree, but I think on the pure tennis skills, I think that's probably the right price. The question is, how much do you factor in the wind?
I mean, it's a lot of things. Like the pure tennis skills, sure. Like, Fokina is more talented, but does he harness those talents better? No. If the match is 5-all, like in the first set, I'm backing RBA all the way. It's like doesn't matter how good your tennis is. His mental is so bad that it like doesn't matter.
Okay.
I just
think his physical is like, okay. I'm not backing Fokina at minus 130 either. Don't get me wrong. I think it's pretty close to I have to think about like given the wind now, would I make RBA like better than 50% there? That's the question. It's getting close. Again, like I think without the wind, I'd say Fokina's probably I would give Fokina a slight edge because I think the amount of physical edge outweighs the mental.
Okay.
But it's close. Like, I don't think it's more than a 55-45 kind of match in either direction. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty close to a flip.
I'm like really pumped for that match. Like, I can't wait for it. Like, it's must see TV.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see. I mean, yeah, we'll see. Like,
yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting. Look at a good. I'm interested to see like what his year looks like because remember he had that weird injury from like falling off a horse.
yeah.
So we'll see. Like, but the second half of last year was really good.
It was
right.
good.
4th round of Wimbledon.
He won it.
He actually won at 250.
Yeah. Where was
right?
that?
So
where was that tournament?
Was it Antwerp?
Yeah, Antwerp. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. So like he had a really good end of the year. So like, is it that he just took forever to recover and now like he's back and okay and has another like year of rejuvenation in him? Because he's 36, so he is old.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Well, that's why I would never back him to win like a tournament in like June. But like
I think
had an off season.
Yeah.
He has a track record of playing well in January. So I don't know, 18-1, I think it's worth it. But yeah, the rollover is probably better, especially if Korda plays.
I think the rollover is much better because I think if you get him as a dog in round 1 and then he's gonna, we'll see, maybe not, but I would think he'd be a dog against Korda in round 2, just based on like.
He'll probably be like plus 130. It's my guess.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So by that time, you're already at 5 units, and you got 19 with 3 rounds to go. I don't think he's a massive favorite against anybody in that's going to likely come out of Q3. If he plays Kokkinakis, that's probably a flip.
Yeah,
if he plays Yoshi, it's probably
he'll probably be a minus 130 favorite, is my guess.
Against who? Yoshi?
Against Etch.
Oh, against Etch, I think he'd be more than a minus 130. I think he'd be more like maybe like a minus 150.
Okay.
But I don't know. Will it be interesting to see? Maybe more like a minus 130 might be right. Like, I think the rollover is the way to go there. But which is probably what if I decide to play him against Fokina in round 1, he'll be a rollover guy. Because I agree with you. I think he's I think what you said makes sense from a tennis perspective.
Okay. What's Giron's price?
I think it was similar. I think all these guys were like 15-1, 20-1 range.
I love Giron against Vukic at Pick'em. It's one of my favorite bets tomorrow.
Ooh, I don't know, man. Vukic is playing better recently.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think Giron is just more an all-around player. I think like Vukic.
Oh, I'm not debating that. I'm just saying if it's hot, then the court will be faster, right? Like, in a fast court, like with Vukic's serve and forehand, and like he's playing better. He took Dimitrov to a tiebreak.
I actually
Giron is better than I thought. Giron is 25-1.
Okay, not quite good enough, but I actually think that's a very interesting section. Having FAA, he should beat Kazo, the qualifier there, and then but Vukic, Giron, Shapovalov, and Zhang. Like that's a very intriguing little.
I think it would be a lot more interesting if FAA didn't have the draw he has. Because I don't think I'm not saying that FAA is more than 50% likely to win the quarter, but I would make FAA the favorite to win that quarter just because of the draw. Not because I necessarily think he's the best player, but he drew the best spot in that quarter.
He did.
Like he gets the only he gets the worst round 2 opponent, and he doesn't have a round 1 match.
Right. Yeah. True.
But yeah, otherwise I'd be much more into your own. I just
Yeah.
think I think it's a tough tournament to really make heads from tails from. There's a lot of very even guys in this draw, you know?
Yeah. 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 Well, it was good. Will be a fun tournament. Let's I prefer this draw than
Yeah.
the Auckland draw.
I agree. I agree. There's a lot of really good, there's a lot of like interesting non-seeded players here,
Yeah.
which is why I love the -175 for an unseeded finalist. Because like outside of Tommy Paul, like I'm not convinced the seeds are that much better than the non-seeds. Like the only standout to me in this tournament is Tommy, given the quarter injury.
Yeah. Yeah, given the Corda injury, I kind of like it. We can make it GBM.
Nice.
Yeah. I just
Probably
was
the lowest odds my GBM ever
It's
at
good. It's really good
-175.
though. It's really good. Because you got Bublik,
Yeah.
Etch, and Corda as seeds, and Corda has that elbow injury.
Yeah.
Like,
Korda has the elbow injury. Etch really struggles on hard court. And Bublik
it's
has
too
literally
hot.
said,
Yeah,
like, you don't
he's
even
gonna
try to
be.
play.
Yeah.
Like, Bublik is just like, this is. Bublik hasn't done well in Australia in general, right? Who did he lose to? Did he lose to Sumit in straight sets last year here in Australian Open?
So
He did, right?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he lost to Sumit 3-0. Like,
Uh, well, it's getting to that point where like Bublik has to win a tournament. Like he has to win one of those February tournaments, like Montpellier or something.
well, I think did he win Marseille or something last year? Marseille or Montpellier?
I think he did one Montpellier last year,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
usually,
Yeah.
like, snags one of those 250s or 500s, right? And then he just breaks it in for the rest of the year. Like that's what Bublik does,
Right.
right?
Right.
But like if he doesn't win those tournaments, like then he's screwed.
No, he's in big trouble. Bublik is now down to Bublik is down to 1,400 points.
Yeah.
And I'm looking what he's got to defend. I think he's got a lot to defend coming up in early part of the year. So I was looking at this actually last year. He's got he's got a win in Montpellier. He won Montpellier last year.
Yep.
And he actually made the semis here in Adelaide. So he's got 90 to defend in Adelaide, 250 to defend in Montpellier. Is Dubai a 500 or 250?
500.
So he's got 300 to defend in Dubai.
Oh,
so he's got
semis
600
there?
points, 640 points to defend between now and the end of February.
Yeah. That's a lot for him.
If he only defends half those points, he drops down. Well, he only drops down like 10 spots. Like I guess he'd have to drop really far. Like it's amazing how few points you actually need to be in the top. You only need like 600 points to make the top 100. So he'll stay top 100, but he may not stay top 50.
Yeah.
And if you start dropping out of like top 50, 60, 70, it's where you start having, you start flirting with having to play in like qualifying for like 250s and 500s a lot of times.
Yeah. Is Bublik the guy that Rublev had the meltdown against in Dubai?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he did have a good February.
As your Bublik watch for the fans.
So he made semis here and then he lost to a 3-0 to Nagal at the Australian. Is that what it was?
Checking it, but yeah, I
3-0
think
in a
so.
row?
Yeah. Yeah, he lost 6-4, 6-2, 7-6 to Sumit at the Australian.
Wow. Okay.
Then he turned around and won Montpellier.
Yeah.
And made semis in Dubai. And then the rest of his year was a complete disaster. But yeah, all his points are up front. Because yeah, like I said, 90. I think it's at least 90. Maybe it might be 100 now. I think they up there. I think it might be 100 now for the Adelaide semi, 250 obviously for the Montpellier title, and it's at least 300 if not more from Dubai. So that's that's 600 points right there.
Yeah. All right. So any last parting shots before we head out?
Anything in the qualies? I think there's a lot of interesting quality matches. I don't have any bets, but I think there's a lot of
Australian
interesting
Open
first round
qualies.
quality matches.
Yeah, I have a few bets for the first round. My plays are I love Bolt versus McDonald. I think McDonald is in a rut right now. He's played very
He
little.
is.
And like Bolt, he's going to be motivated. You know, I think he likes these conditions. They're quick. I mean, maybe not today because it's kind of raining, but still, I think the over-under 21.5 is a decent look there. And then I like the money line. I believe Bolt has a positive head-to-head against McDonald.
Okay. I did not know that, but interesting.
I think they played quite a few times, actually. Yeah, it's 1-1. So he's beaten him before. I mean, they haven't played for a while. But in 2021, Bolt beat him in 3, 6-4, 6-7, 7-5 in Melbourne. So I don't know. I don't think their games have changed that much since 2021, honestly. So and Bolt got him twice.
So you have a qualifier spot. The second qualifier spot, you've got Bellucci, Ottman, Blocks, Spizzirri, and Lucas Klein all in that section. Wow. I think that's a fascinating section.
Fascinating section.
Only one of those 8 guys will qualify. Or one of those 5 guys will qualify.
That's crazy. That's a crazy section.
Yeah.
That's wild. I love Della Vedova plus 1.5 against Ottmane.
You've got okay. How's Ottman been playing lately? Because he's got a lot of talent.
He does, but like, see, he can lose to someone ranked 800 in the world, or he can beat someone in the top 50. Like, there's that level of variance with his game.
I would agree with that.
So, like,
I would agree.
Anytime it's plus money for, someone to take a set against him, like, I'm going to take that. It doesn't really matter who it is.
I understand that.
So that's my logic there. I also love Kukushkin minus 1.5 games against Lehecka. I think Lehecka has.
That's a really interesting first round match, just in general.
It is. But Lehecka hasn't played since October. And like, it's your first match of the season playing Kukushkin, who has that like funky game. And like,
that does sound brutal.
That sounds like just not something that he's going to be willing. Plus, he's not the most like cerebral tennis player, not the smartest, like kind of is like a ball basher type. So
yeah,
he's talented, but like not much margin on the shots. So I think that Kukushkin is just going to like pick him apart. Like that just seems like a tough matchup for Lehecka. I love Martyr minus 3.5 against Delian. At even money.
Yeah, Dalian's like hardly ever won a hardcore match in his life. Like he shows up only when he can play in slams or qualifying slams.
I mean, Martyr hasn't been good, but like
no, but like I said, Dalian like literally doesn't play hardcore tennis. Like he only and if you see him play, you know why. Like he's a good clay court player. But that's all he's got.
That's all he's got.
He's just a pure clay guy.
And I also love Djokovic against Gasquet money line. I think Gasquet is washed, first of all, and like Duje is like he has firepower, he has weapons, and I think like that's the kind of game that gives Gasquet trouble right now. Gasquet is so underpowered. Like he's smart, he's crafty, like don't get me wrong. I just think Duje is like slightly undervalued. Like, I think he should, the line should be flip-flopped, is my point.
Okay.
So that's my logic there.
I think we'll see if it ends up coming to fruition, but the second round of qualies could be Dere against Garin. Okay. I think that's a fascinating match from a tennis perspective.
That is. That's good.
Like 2 guys who used to be top 30 at least.
Yeah.
I don't remember what Darius' career high is. It's probably somewhere in the 20s.
Yeah, that's a crazy section. Bellucci, Otmane, Block, Spazziri, Gallarno, and Klein.
Right. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. I think Kochmanzov and Van Ash is a very
Dan Evans is
intriguing
in
first round.
qualies. Wow, how
Yeah.
far he's fallen.
And he's only a minus 120 favorite to
I've never heard of Trotter.
try. Apparently he has a big serve and
Okay.
like kind of like a serve and volley kind of game. So how about Cruz Hewitt against Basilashvili?
That's funny.
And I think
Cashman is back.
Kachmanzov and Van Ash is an intriguing first round matchup. Like, can you think of like two polar opposite players, like more opposite guys?
That's funny. That is funny. That is funny. Yeah.
That's an intriguing match.
Tomic is in qualies. Tomic has gotten his ranking up enough to be in Aussie Open qualies.
Wow. Who's
And
he
not
playing?
with like a wild card or something. Like he got a legitimate like entry.
Who's he playing?
He's playing Koblik in the first round.
Okay.
And the winner of that plays. Actually, this is a pretty good. The last qualifier section is it's learners qualifier.
Okay.
It's him and Brer, Fikovic, Jubb, some guy Jones, New Zealand wildcard, who actually I think played last year. Doesn't really matter. Holmgren, the Danish kid, young kid
August Holmgren,
prospect.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Tomic.
And Tomic and Hovalik.
Huh. Oh, another one of my favorite bets today is Montero against Kubler over 23.
That's a qualies match, right? That's a
Yeah,
qualies
it's
match in
yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Like, I think that over should be 24 and a half, honestly.
I just don't know what Kubler has done recently. I haven't been following the
He lost
Kubler
in
line.
3 sets to Pui, I think, in Brisbane qualies.
Okay. Wow. He went all the way back to futures.
Yeah.
He missed basically the whole year. I don't know what happened. He must have gotten injured
Yeah, I think so.
and but now his ranking went all the way down to 800. So now he had to go all the way back to futures. Wow. That's wild, man. Well, I guess it's weird though, because I guess he could use protected ranking. I mean, I assume, unless he got popped first, like Jason Kubler. I guess yeah, he had a knee injury. I guess.
Knee injury?
Yeah. So.
Man. Yeah, but he did play a 3-setter in qualies, so like I don't know.
I'm not saying he's useless. I mean, he did come back and dominate. Actually, no, he lost. He didn't even win the first features he came back for, which is kind of funny. Like just to come back and play like a futures is like a guy who played on the ATP tour and not even win the tournament. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It also lets you know how deep the challengers and the futures are, but it's pretty funny. Like
Deep, yeah. It's a lot of good players.
But then he came back and oh no, he didn't actually he played in 2 futures and he in November and he didn't win either of them. He lost in both finals.
Wow. Huh. Yeah, I mean, looking at this qualifying draw, like I feel like it's deeper than I've ever seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's so many guys I recognize, there's so many guys that we've seen play. Like it's intriguing. Like this qualifying draw is like actually really
I think
good.
it's also the gambling in the podcast like gets us to watch matches that like you wouldn't like most gets us to watch like first rounds of 250s a lot more, which is when you see these like borderline challenge level guys.
Yeah. I guess. But like some of these guys like actually have like weapons and like have made runs at 250s, like Kochmanzov last year in
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like we've seen Montero do well in Golden Swing. Perricard, remember last year he had a run in
Yep.
Cordoba.
Yeah.
Um, and like we've also seen qualifiers make decent runs in main draws, right? Like these guys are no slouches. That's my point. Like
I
I
agree.
think it's a deep qualifying draw. You got Fonseca in there who should qualify. I mean, he's been on a tear recently.
Who is he? What's his section?
Facundo Augustine Gomez in the first.
Oh yeah, he's in the Gomez. Yeah, he's in the
Yeah,
Toronto
Coleman
qualifying section.
Wong,
Yeah,
Nick
that's not a
Copro.
great section.
No, yeah, he should qualify. That's another beef I have with betting markets. I think my biggest beef is that you can't bet on guys to qualify.
I know. It'd be so
Plus
fun.
money
It'd be so
prices.
fun to bet on guys to qualify. I know.
It would be so fun because it's not like a normal tournament. It's 3 matches. Can they get through 3 matches? You know?
Yeah.
And then you could like kind of determine if betting the outright is better than doing the rollover. Like it would be so fun to like quantify that as well.
I agree.
Like that's my biggest beef. Like why don't they have that? Why not?
Yeah,
It,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that no sportsbook has that. It wouldn't be hard to grade. Like it'd be the same
no,
as yeah.
yeah, I hate that, but all right, so that does it for this edition of the pod. We will be back with probably some mega pods on Thursday and Friday night. Is
Yeah,
my
I think that's the
hope.
plan. Yeah, we're gonna have some mega pods to preview the Australian Open mostly.
Yep, yep. So fun times, good, fun stuff ahead.
Yeah, I don't
So
know if we'll preview all 64 first round matches again, but what?
yeah, I don't know if we will, but I'm gonna try to get a guest on as well. Maybe we can get Tidbits Tennis on or Dave Berger on, or
Yeah,
we'll see what we can do. So
yeah.
all right, everyone, have a good night.
Cool. All right. See you, everyone.
See ya.